the Heisman Trophy is beginning to become more and more of a close race. Maybe not a close race, but the finish line is becoming more and more in sight. So what are the Heisman Power Rankings for us as they stand today? I'll give you our top 5 and an honorable mention. My honorable mention, and this is maybe a little bit of a shock to some people, is Bo Nix. Now, Bo Nix right now has the 5th best odds in Las Vegas. Could still very much so play for a Pac-12 title. Big game this weekend against Utah. No update on if he's going to play or not. I would hope he does for his sake, for Oregon's sake, and for his Heisman Trophy candidacy. 39 total touchdowns. He's been so impressive. He's turned a completely a new leaf since he was at Auburn. Here's my worry about him, though. Oregon's not going to play for a college football playoff. They're just not. And with how this award is constructed, it goes to the best player on the best team. And typically the best team ends up playing for a college football playoff berth. So Bo Nix, very much so, at this point in time, at least deserves an invite to New York. Right now, he's not in our top 5. So Bo Nix, we're a big fan of him here in this program, but for us this week at least, he's an honorable mention. Let's break into the top 5. At number 5, we got Drake Maye. Now, Drake Maye's got 34 touchdowns, tied for first in the country, close to 3,500 yards. The rest of the schedule, they got Georgia Tech, they got NC State. Here's the big one. They got the ACC title game against Clemson. Huge stage. What I need from Drake Maye to be able to have a chance to win this award, I need jaw-dropping numbers. Like, I want to see 400 to 500 yards in at least 2 of those 3 games. I want to see 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, maybe a rushing touchdown. Like, he needs to have video game numbers and just demand the attention of voters. Because North Carolina, not to knock the program, I think they've done a phenomenal job this year. Mac Brown has been quietly one of the best coaches in college football these last few years. How many times have you said, hey, I can't hang out at this time because North Carolina's playing? Right? They haven't demanded a ton of national attention. Whether it's right or wrong, Drake Maye needs to demand that attention for himself and shine on the biggest stage against Clemson. Also, may need a little bit of help from some of these bigger name guys having some later stumbles. I hate to say it, it's kind of the fact of the matter. But for us, Drake Maye, number 5 this week on our Heisman rankings. Here's the most intriguing candidate to me in this entire race. Caleb Williams, quarterback, USC. Vegas right now has him at the 6th best chance to win the Heisman Trophy. 37 total touchdowns. Over 3,000 yards passing. Only 2 interceptions. For me, he is on what I like to call boom watch. Now, what is boom watch? It means I think he has the most interesting path, the most potential path, rather, to skyrocket these next few weeks and potentially win the whole deal, potentially be the Heisman Trophy winner. Schedule is against a ranked UCLA team this week, at UCLA this week. Potentially a ranked Notre Dame. You hope they win against Boston College, and maybe that's a top 15 matchup. We'll see. And then in that case, you'd have the Pac-12 title game. And you would hope it's against a team like Oregon, who's going to be in the top 10 at that point. And you hear what I'm saying? You hope that you have some giants you can maybe slay. Now, the interesting thing about Caleb Williams, these are 3 big stages. 3 of the biggest stages he will have this entire season, if it goes as planned for USC. USC hasn't really had the most convenient viewing times, for voters at least. On the East Coast, his games are usually going on when you're in bed. So with these games, UCLA is a watchable time. I don't know what time Notre Dame's going to be playing, but the Pac-12 title game is usually, I believe, on a Friday. So he will have the attention of viewers and voters these next 3 weeks. It is crucial. 1, for them to win. 2, for him to play really well. Similar to Drake Maye, need big numbers. But if they win out, I think USC is going to be a college football playoff team, and I think that he's going to have a really good chance to win that award. Because like I said, best player on the best team, whether USC is the best team or not, if they're in the college football playoff, I think that could be enough. We'll see what happens with the rest of this field, but Caleb Williams, number 4 this week, he's on boom watch for us here at the Hard Count. At number 3, the man with the 2nd best odds, according to Las Vegas, we got Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker, 24 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Not a ton of meat on the bone in terms of the schedule that's left. South Carolina and Vanderbilt, I promise you, whatever they say in the press conference, I'm cool with. Like, trust me, I get it. They're trying to run it up on some teams here and make a case for the college football playoff as Tennessee. And a byproduct of that could be some really good numbers for Hendon Hooker these last couple of weeks. Now, the thing that hurts him, and the reason why I don't have him higher, is because Tennessee won't get that 13th data point in playing for a conference championship. In the conference championship weekend, you know it and I know it, usually when the Heisman Trophy gets won, it's as much a plus for Caleb Williams as it will be a minus for Hendon Hooker. 8 of the last 10 Heisman Trophy winners have all won their conference championship. Caleb Williams could still win his. Hendon Hooker not going to play. All right? So Hendon Hooker's got to absolutely pop off statistically. Hope for a little bit of help from the other guys in this race. But I like him. I think he deserves a chance to go to New York. He may be the best player in the country. But the way this award works, not playing on championship weekend is going to hurt him in the long run. Unfortunate, but kind of the way it works out. At number 2, Michigan's running back Blake Corum. Corum has been a stud, like 1,300 yards, 17 touchdowns, 6 yards per carry. He even shares some of those carries with Donovan Edwards. He's been so impressive. This is a real case for best player on the best team. Now you're saying Georgia's the best team. Whatever. We talked about that actually the other day. They don't have a guy in the race because of how complimentary they play. Not here to talk about that. For Blake Corum, they got Illinois. They got at Ohio State. They got the Big Ten title game. I'll come back to that Ohio State game in just a second, but the bottom line is those are all big, big stages, especially Ohio State, and especially the Big Ten title game if they were to win the Ohio State game and play for a Big Ten championship. So for him, the unfortunate reality is you just need some big, big numbers on those stages. And whether it's right or wrong, it's kind of become a quarterback award. And so I think he needs to do actually a little bit extra than you would expect from a running back in that scenario. Like, I think he might need a 200-yard game down the stretch here, especially the Ohio State game. You get that 200-yard game in the Ohio State game, that would be just what the doctor ordered. Now, they got to win. I think they got to play, like I said, on that 13th data point. They got to play on Championship Saturday. But Blake Corum is very much in striking distance right now. Vegas has him as the 4th best odds. For us, we have him at number 2 in our power rankings. Going back to the Ohio State game, CJ Stroud is number 1 for us right now. To be blunt, I think it's his to lose. 34 touchdowns, tied for first in the country. 4 interceptions. They got Maryland this week at Maryland. They got Michigan the following week. Then they have the Big Ten championship. For him, he just needs to keep putting on a show. If he puts on a show against Michigan and puts on a show in the Big Ten title game, he's going to win the Heisman Trophy. Now, Caleb Williams, if he puts up better numbers, you could kind of have a duel going on. But like I said, I think CJ Stroud's in pole position right now. Whoever plays better between him and Blake Corum in the Ohio State-Michigan game, that will be a duel for the Heisman Trophy. Whether it's right or wrong, the loser of that game, in my opinion, will not win the award. They'll be out of the race. Not to say they won't still both go to New York. Whoever loses that game, you're probably eliminated from winning the Heisman Trophy. But like I said, for CJ Stroud, the quarterback award, the stats, the stages, it's all lining up just perfectly. It's teed up for him. Now, can he hit it out of the park? But for us this week, as it stands right now in the race, CJ Stroud is the leader in the clubhouse. So to give you a quick recap, honorable mentions Bo Nix, but for number 5, we got Drake Maye. Needs a little bit of help and needs to ball down the stretch. Number 4, he's on boom watch for us. Caleb Williams. Would not be surprised at all if he starts creeping up these rankings and makes a big, big move these last 2 weeks of the season with the Pac-12 title game potentially being his biggest stage. And then at number 3, you got Tennessee's quarterback Hendon Hooker, maybe the best player in the country. The way the award is given out, as of right now, it looks a little bit bleak for him to actually win it. I think he goes to New York City, though. Number 2, we got Blake Corum, Michigan's running back. A nice little duel shaping up the last week of the regular season between the man who's number 1 right now in this race for us, CJ Stroud. That'll be a whole lot of fun. It keeps coming back to it. Michigan and Ohio State is going to be a duel for the ages. National championship stuff on the line, Heisman Trophy stuff on the line. It'll be a lot of fun.
Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.